Welcome to another exciting episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled, a podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. So today's guest is Dan Dan Shina Dan Shinder as well. Okay, so Dan, welcome to Control or Be Controlled.
Thank you very much for having me, Darlington, and hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right, Dan. Dan is the founder of Drum Talk TV, a brand that has organically grown to more than 1 million followers and reaches over 100 million people every year without spending money on ads, SEO, or boosted posts. What started as his passion for music became a global community, helping everyone from independent entrepreneurs and non-profits to major brands grow their audiences through authentic storytelling and unconventional marketing. Once again, Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
All right, Dan, so I have some questions here for you, and I would like us to get into them. So, what is the secret sauce to Drum Talk that you built into a brand with over 1 million followers, and now you have reached more than 100 million people per year without paying for ads? How did that journey begin?
So the journey began, excuse me, because I had an online lesson platform for a short time teaching drum lessons online, and I built a pretty big audience for that, considering that I had been out of the scene for a very long time. And I knew the lessons wouldn't matter unless I had an audience. So I put some effort into building an online audience. And then I started interviewing fellow educators. And when my wife saw those interviews, she encouraged me to just do interviews and not do the lessons. And I was a bit resistant at first because my brain was set on doing lessons, but she kind of ganged up on me with a couple other friends, and she sort of really came up with the idea that the interview show would be better and help me in a huge way really develop what Drum Talk TV would be about. And it's expanded from doing interviews to also doing documentaries and covering events and featuring our fans on our platforms, as well as um, just so much more. But it's all related. It's not just for drummers, it's for all kinds of music fans. One of the things that makes us different is that we cover music from all over the world, whereas the other media companies in our space kind of cover the same thing as each other. They cover in the West the big rock stars, the big pop stars, the big jazz stars, and some new people. We do all of that, but we also cover music from West Africa, South Africa, Japan, the Middle East, which is North Africa, all over Europe, all over Asia, India, Bangladesh. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and that's a big part of what makes us different.
All right, thank you so much, Dan. So everyone seems obsessed with paid advertising today. People believe that you cannot get organic growth without paying for advertising. So why do you still believe in organic growth as one of the powerful ways to build a business?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? I want to make sure I understand.
Why do you believe in organic growth as one of the most powerful ways to build a business?
Yeah. Well, if you don't need to spend the money, it's better. But a lot of times I see that people are spending money on the wrong things. They're spending money to boost posts that aren't getting views or engagement. And that will show those posts to more people, but they're spending money on something that hasn't proved itself yet. Whereas what we've done is we really have experimented a lot with content. And this is going back years. We're 13 and a half years old now, but we know now what works. And we learned very, very, very quickly what works. And when you learn what works and it works well enough, you don't need to spend money on it. But if you're going to spend money on your content, you should spend money on what's already working organically, because that means if you show it to more people, chances are it will still do well. Whereas if you spend money on something that hasn't done well, it's like spending money on something that's already broken. So I started to have a lot of success starting out with organic growth and just kind of stuck with it and got better and better and better at it. And we still do that. In fact, opening my phone right now, I can look at our stats for the last 28 days, and we're down a little bit in views of 3.7 million people in the last 7 days. I'm sorry, 28 days, and our engagement is 274,000 people. So not bad considering we don't spend any money at all to achieve that.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. So, moving on, what are the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they are trying to grow an audience online?
That's a great question, and the answer is pretty heavy and pretty big. um, the biggest mistake that I see even big brands do, the biggest mistake is that everyone's doing everyone's copying everybody else with bad strategies. Hashtags is probably the biggest one, and I'll explain that in a moment. But the biggest problem I see in marketing is that everyone is doing what everyone else is doing just because that's what everyone else is doing. So that's called the herd mentality. And it just doesn't, just because everybody is doing it, doesn't mean that it's a productive or winning strategy. And I see people doing things that they have no idea how it works or what they're doing. And hashtags are the biggest thing. Everybody thinks that if they use a generic hashtag, that their post is going to ride some magical wave and be seen by more people. It's never worked like that. It doesn't work like that. It will never work like that. So I cracked the code on how to make hashtags work and not just get lost in a sea of hashtags. So for instance, if there's 3 billion people on Facebook, active users. There's 3 billion people on YouTube, active users. Instagram is close to that. TikTok is growing. Imagine if a conservative number of people, if only 400,000 people used a generic hashtag like hashtag Motivation Monday. If 400,000 people are using that in one day, even just once, so if there's 400,000 posts with that hashtag and then I use it, how would I expect my post to be seen if people Google or search that hashtag within any given platform or click on that hashtag in any given platform? How is my post magically going to show up for them amongst the other 399,999 other posts? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't make sense. But I see people silly hashtags like hashtag viral, as if that's going to make it go viral. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my adult life. Hashtag for your page. Huh? Hashtag FYP for your page. What? Hashtag repost. I don't care if it's a repost. It's just the dumbest stuff ever. So I have a system that I teach, and just to touch on it a little bit, is I teach people how to personalize their hashtags. And automatically they think, well, how will people know to search it? They don't need to know to search it for it to work for you. and it gets kind of involved and in depth. But once someone learns how to do it, it's quite simple. And the idea of a hashtag is to tie that content together. And when I say that content, it's the title of whatever that hashtag is. So again, if you're using a hashtag that 400,000 other people are using, you're tying your stuff to all that other stuff. No way it's going to be found or show up for people. If you use personalized hashtags that are your own themes of content that is similar to each other, it only ties your content together. And when people start to see it and follow it and click on it and search it, it'll only show your content. So it's a way for people to discover more than just that first, second, or fifth post they saw with your personalized hashtag. And you can still have as many as you want. You don't need to have just one hashtag. So if the theme is, uh, let's say I had a boating shop called Dan's Boats. If I wanted to do posts that were about speedboats, about racing, about water skiing, about the Virgin Islands, about Bermuda, I would simply put Dan's Boats water skiing, Dan's boats racing, Dan's boats, and whatever the theme is after that. And then if I have 10, 15, 100 different posts for each theme, it's going to only tie my content together, no one else's. Does that make sense? It's pretty simple.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. Everyone's been,
But so you don't believe those hashtag used to work?
what's that?
You don't believe those hashtags on social media that people add to their posts to promote their posts? You don't believe they work?
Right. A lot of people are resistant. And it's because they're afraid to do something different than everyone they know is doing. Because they're afraid people are going to say, "What are you doing? That's not how it works." It is how it works. In fact, here's how well it works and how much you don't even need hashtags. We did not even use hashtags up until after the first 500,000 followers we had. And most people I know don't even have 500,000 followers. So, how important is it really?
Okay. Thank you so much, Dan. So many people get discouraged because they don't see quick results on social media. How do you stay consistent when growth feels very, very slow?
There's quite a few things tied in with that. And by the way, I teach a course on all this. um, but the few answers that all go together are: one, you've got to understand your audience, and you've got to understand that even if they want the same thing from you, they might not necessarily want it for the same reasons. So you have to put the different reasons why someone might want what you have in your marketing. You have to be consistent with posting. Sometimes I'll ask people when they say, "Yeah, it's just not working for me." And I'll say, "Well, how often do you post?" "We post every week." "How often every week?" "Every week." Like, what do you mean? And they say, "Yeah, we post 3 times a week." 3 times a week isn't doing anything. 3 times a week, you don't even have the switch flipped into the on position of that particular platform. You have to use it consistently. You have to post at least once a day, at least. When we started out, our minimum was 3 times a day. 3 times a day, 7 days a week. You have to prime the pump. The platforms will not distribute your content to more than 2 to 5% of your followers unless you're posting every day. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And people make up the worst excuses for not doing that. They say, "Well, I don't want to wear out my audience." You'll never wear out your audience because the platforms will never show all your content to everybody that's following you, let alone people outside who are not following you. Or they say, "I don't know what to post." Folks, if you don't know what to post, to post 1 to 3 times a day. Knock over furniture to get to me so you can learn from me how to do it. And the other, my favorite is I'm too busy. Okay, here's why I don't like too busy. My wife and I'm married. That takes up a little time, right? You got to maintain a relationship. We have 11 kids, 19 grandkids, two great grandkids. They don't live with us, but they're still our family and they need attention. At home, we have two cats and four dogs. I think I'm a pretty busy guy. I have two businesses, Drum Talk TV and Advanced Social Marketing. And if you're serious about getting results, you should never be too busy to A, learn what will get you results, and B, make the time to do things right and do what matters to get the result. What is the result? Is it great numbers? Is it bringing in more income so you can help other people? Maybe charity? Is it so that you can retire? It could be whatever you want, but have a reason and have a why and be purposeful. And when people say they're too busy, to me, they're either unorganized or they just don't care enough or they're lazy. Those are the only three reasons.
All right, Dan, thank you so much. So, uh, Drum Talk TV started around music, but you have expanded now into entrepreneurship and business education. How did you know it was the right time to evolve your brand?
When we were in our 8th month of Drum Talk TV, it was pointed out to me by someone on our team that used a third party statistical service um, to show me that we were achieving 900% more reach and engagement than everybody else in our space. 900%. And we were the newest brand by 10 years. As I mentioned earlier, I was out of the industry for many years, and we came out of nowhere and just crushed it. We did really well. Well, that inspired me to start a marketing consulting training and coaching company. So I started having workshops and then I designed a couple courses and I started teaching all this stuff in the music industry. And then I expanded even outside the music industry and I work with all types of brands now, helping them with their marketing, teaching them their marketing, consulting on their marketing, food brands, fashion brands, automotive brands, nonprofits. It all works the same way.
All right, Dan. So, if someone has a very great product but almost no audience today, what are the first three things you will tell them to focus on?
Oh, I like that question. Um, B, let me think about that for a moment. There's so many important things, it's hard to pick just one. But to pick the main thing is make sure that you are not just advertising to your audience. There's no reason to follow a channel if all they're going to do is advertise to you. So 20 to 30% of your content can be sales and blatant advertising, whereas 70 to 80% of your content should be what I call community building content. That gives them a reason to follow you so that when you do drop an advertisement in front of them, you've got a captivated audience that hopefully loves your brand, trusts your brand, and they're present. They're following you so that they get that content in their feed. And the definition of community building content is content that is consistent with what the brand provides and what your audience or target market is interested in. Kind of like when I mentioned the boat brand analogy. If I had a boating shop, I'm not just going to constantly advertise the boats for sale. There's just no reason for someone to follow that unless they're looking for a boat to purchase right then. So I'm going to post about maintenance, about the difference in different types of models, the different types of engines, the different types of destinations to take your boat, the different kinds of boat trailers, the different kinds of vehicles to pull those trailers with the boats, the different types of life jackets, the different types of, it goes on and on and on and on, rather than just posting, these boats are for sale, come see us. There's just a reason to follow a brand that's going to only advertise. And make it fun for the audience, and ask them questions. Let them engage with you. That shows that you care about them and you're not just yelling at them what's for sale.
All right, Dan. So, looking back, what is one marketing lesson that completely changed the trajectory of your business?
The first thing that comes to mind is kind of a neat little story. When we started to get really big, uh, around that same time in the first year, um, maybe it was the second year, right around within about a year or so. Uh, because we were so big, getting big, and I mean, like we had 150,000 followers at the time. That's pretty big, and people would message us through our website or our Facebook page, and they would send us pictures or videos and say, "Will you put me on Jump Talk TV? Can I be on Jump Talk TV? Will you put my video on Jump Talk TV?" And we had this message that was an auto reply that said something like, um, the Drum Talk TV platforms are for the content we develop, for the artists and the drumming brands that we work with. There's plenty of places for you to share your content in Facebook groups. Have a great day. And it wasn't meant to be off putting or anything like that. But in hindsight, I bet it kind of looks like that. So Lori, who was working with me at the time, said, one day she said, "Have you looked at the Facebook messaging lately?" And I said, "No, I hardly look at that." She said, "There's like 200 messages in there." And I'm thinking, what are people sending? So I opened it up, and I'm seeing all these messages. Will you put me on Jump Talk TV? Can you put my video on Jump Talk TV? So I watched it, and I watched one of the videos that somebody sent, and I probably had like a very I know your audience can't see me, but I'm going to turn my camera on for a moment so you can see me, and I'll kind of describe, I look like this, like a very serious face, my arms were crossed, and as I watched the video of this guy playing, he was really good, and he had a big smile on his face. As I watched him play, I loosened up and I went, and my arms came unfolded. I leaned forward. I smiled. And right then, the light bulb went on above my head. And I realized, oh my gosh, if I like this, if I had that kind of response, maybe our audience will. I'm just like our audience. I'm a music fan. I like watching drumming videos. So I picked up my phone. I called Lori. I said, Lori, we have to create a portal where people can submit videos. She said, but I thought we were. I said, I'll tell you about it later. Just can you get to work on that? Then what happened is, oops, I almost clicked the leave button. What happened, Darrington, is that when we started taking submissions of videos, and we were selective about what we chose and put on our platforms, but when we started doing that, we tripled our following within about 3 months, maybe doubled our following within 3 months, because everyone loved that element of not just big artists that were on our platform, but just someone that was really talented, really good in different ages, and, men and women, boys and girls, marching, jazz, West African hand drumming, djembes, Maridi Dungam from India, tablas, Moroccan percussion, taiko from Japan. I mean, everything. And that changed everything for us. And it's been a big part of the ethos and one of my very favorite things about what we do. And we were the first in the music industry to do that, as far as I know, because back then, Darlington, the manufacturers that do that now and who have been doing it for about the last 10 years, I believe they got it from us because they weren't doing it then. So, like the drumstick manufacturers do it, the cymbal companies do it, all these other makers of gear, guitar, everything, they do it now too. And I'm fine with that. Copy what we do. That's fine because we're all going to do it our own way, right? just like podcasting, it's just like fashion, it's just like anything else. It's like cooking. We still do it our same way. You could have 5 people bake 5 chocolate cakes and they're all going to come out differently. It's the same thing. So that's probably the first thing that comes to mind that was our biggest first game changer and changed, like you said, changed the trajectory. So my message in that also to everybody else, whether you have a media brand or you're using media to promote what you're doing and build a following, don't be afraid to try things that are different. You don't get a big result without trying something big. If it doesn't work, so what? You didn't fail. You learned what won't work, and you move on to the next idea, and you move on to the next idea. And, the famous saying that Thomas Edison did not fail at creating the light bulb 10,000 times. He discovered 10,000 ways it didn't work. And it's that kind of attitude that will give you the strength and the fortitude and your own self-support to just keep going forward. There's always a way. There's always a way to be better, get better, and don't try to make everybody happy. It's it's impossible to do, and if you try to make everybody happy, you end up just being mediocre. And remember, from the dumb dumb with 11 kids, 19 grandkids, and 2 great grandchildren, you can't please everybody. If I took all those people on a picnic and said we're only having hot dogs and cornbread, there about 2/3 of them would say no, I don't want that. So you can't have one thing for everybody.
All right, Dan, thank you so much.
Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, that makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey, proving that authenticity, creativity, and consistency can still outperform massive marketing budgets. So, for those that would like to learn more about Dan and Drum Talk TV and your marketing strategies, how can they connect with you?
Thank you for that, Darlington. I appreciate it. And folks, I would love to hear from you. Even if you just have questions and don't want to take my course, if you're interested in marketing tips, I do free workshops from time to time, but you can join me with questions and get on my email list at advancedsocialmarketing.com, www.advancedsocialmarketing.com. If you're interested in Drum Talk TV, you could find us on Facebook, where we have 1.3 million followers. We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and you can go to big.drumtalktv.com and you can check out our membership site, where there's also a free level, and that is at drumtalktvbrilliance.com. And lots of fun there for all types of music fans.
All right, thank you so much. And Daniel, thanks to all my audience as well for tuning in. You guys are the reason why we are able to do this always. Thank you so much, Dan, and do have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it very much. Darlington, great job. Wonderful being on your show. I appreciate you, brother.